Hey friends, this is Dolynny TV. Glad to have you aboard. Late in the evening as we get things fired up following a playoff loss for the Crossfield Pirates. That's fine and dandy, okay? We like the hard way anyway. What's a tournament without a little bit of backs against your wall? Anyway, let's go here, friends. The Edmonton Oilers, the PTO situation, that is the talk of the day. In fact, some news coming down the pipe from a source that's had some Oilers news in the past over the past several years here, especially around this time of year. Maybe Jake Virtanen, maybe Ryan Murray, right? Some names that we know from the past for the Oilers that have become part of training camp on a later stage. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. And as well, I want to get to Bob Stauffer's take on what's going to happen with the PTO situation headed into a certain special scenario for the Edmonton Oilers when it comes to training camp. So all that and more, I promise you that coming up. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It is going to be an action-packed month. I want you to be aboard for what's going to be a crazy month, year, and finish next summer. Let me tell you, we're in for a good one. I know I'm handing the Oilers the cup already, but we get to enjoy the ride before that happens, and that's the best part of it all. So we transition over here to, first off, Billy Steffen's tweet. Billy Steffen, of course, if you don't really know the name, really not familiar with that name as an Edmonton Oilers insider, as I mentioned off the top, had Virtanen to the Oilers on a PTO, had Ryan Murray signing with the Oilers, and as well kind of situation with Ryan McLeod, and most recently Jeff Skinner signing with the Oilers on his 1-year, $3 million deal. So this says TDA to the Edmonton Oilers on a PTO. That would be Tony DeAngelo, one would at least figure. I don't know who else it would be, quite honestly. So we're going with Tony DeAngelo, who has been long rumored to be coming to the Edmonton Oilers on a PTO. A guy who I think take what you want, leave what you don't when it comes to his story in the NHL. A guy that obviously has some plus potential offensively, especially on this Edmonton Oilers team, especially if he suits up after earning a spot inside the top 4 defensive slots. But we'll see what happens here. There are drawbacks that some people have mentioned when it comes to DeAngelo's defensive game. So again, this is where I would say I might hopefully be breaking something to somebody here via Billy Steffen's tweet there. But again, we'll caution for right now and wait for official word probably in the morning from somebody that we know from the Edmonton Oilers camp, like a Bob Stauffer or somebody like an Elliot Friedman, or somebody who, you know, usually breaks the stuff when it's officially official, or whatever the case, whatever words you want to use to describe what might be out there from Billy Steffen versus what you trust from Elliot Friedman. So that I will leave up to you, but there in it we have Bob Stauffer's update today. And the reason I got to that Tony DeAngelo news was simply to sit here and say that there is something coming down the pipeline. Bob Stauffer believes the Oilers will sign PTOs specifically because of the split squad game against Calgary here in the preseason. So with the split squad game, defense is going to be at a premium for the Oilers roster players. And obviously, you need to have guys be able to play those games. You have to have your veterans. You have to have all that. So Bob Stauffer believes the Oilers, because of that, will sign either a PTO or 2 for training camp. That said, that just waiting on player decisions. That's not necessarily saying the Oilers have reached out and just waiting to hear back if guys are going to sign on the dotted line. That is to say he's waiting, well, the Oilers are to say, waiting on players to either get a contract from somebody else or decide on a PTO with the Oilers, right? Obviously, right now, we are kind of at this no man's land, right? Captain skates and stuff are happening, and players are starting to gather back in Edmonton, whatever you want to say, and across the NHL. But it's still kind of free agency period in the NHL. There are guys that still strongly believe, and alongside their agents, that they can get contracts done before training camp. And those guys are obviously your top PTO candidates. I think that would be the way that works. But for right now, they're headhunting a contract out there in the NHL wherever they can find one. Think similarly to Sam Gagner a couple of years ago when he was considering a PTO with the Oilers and instead took guaranteed money with the Winnipeg Jets. That's kind of what's happening here for the Oilers, one would assume, based on what Bob Stauffer said on Oilers Now today. So Yeah, we've got the news potentially breaking in the morning on Tony DeAngelo signing a PTO with the Oilers, if not later tonight after this video's up. My apologies if you're watching back and I can't officially say it from Elliot Friedman or Bob Stauffer for you, but obviously right now as it stands, the Oilers probably have a lot of feelers out there, DeAngelo included. We've been long rumored already this summer over the past 2 or 3 weeks. But for right now, as it stands, it's just kind of waiting on guys to decide if they're going to find a contract elsewhere, guaranteed money, or if they're going to take the risk, come to Edmonton, sign a PTO, and figure it out. And as well, right, you've already seen one big fish land on a PTO in Calgary, that being Tyson Barrie. And obviously Tyson Barrie is not a big fish in terms of the free agent market, but he's a big fish in the PTO market. And he still very well might never set foot in a Calgary Flames jersey. He very well might sign a contract somewhere else before he even hits the ice for the first skate with Flames. So that's the way the nature of the PTOs work, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this all wraps up. But thank you so much for being aboard tonight. I don't want to meander on too long. Again, still reeling from the playoff loss this evening, so we'll take our time, lick our wounds, get ready for Friday, try and ball out and keep the season alive to the final day on Saturday as the Crossfield Mixed Slow Pitch League comes on down to the end here this weekend. So friends, thanks for being aboard. I am up on out of here.